Bible underneath my right hand, I made it out of tight jams. Guns all on my nightstand, my life should be on vice land. My fingertips to hold the marijuana aroma. High school, I went to school high, still got my diploma. He got riddled and left alone for some Skittles in Arizona. The same time a man dies by his own for a pair of Jordan. It's crazy how we living, we all misguided children. Niggas out here getting got, trying to figure out how to get it. We the ones that's not afraid to let the hammers off. The same ones that feed the homeless with the cameras off. The life I'm living kinda hard to get a handle on. But I'm blessed and God knows I can't be mad at all.
Tiffany is one of my longtime friends. I met her in the Fort Lauderdale studio years and years ago. And we just kind of connected and bonded. She went and traveled and moved. And eventually when she came back, we were like, hey, we need to chat. She has a phenomenal story that's super powerful. But she's just an intelligent businesswoman, super business savvy, and just a real go-getter. Perfect person for Uncreative Radio. It's Uncreative Radio with my good friend Tiffany. Thanks for stopping by.
Hey, I'm excited to be here.
Yo, we are live on Instagram right now, on Twitter, and whoever else knows wherever we're live. And we're both rocking these dope jean jackets, #unplanned.
Completely. Twinning. Okay, we are twinning.
Thanks for stopping through.
I am so excited to have this conversation with you.
We were talking earlier and you changed your hair.
Yes.
What does this mean when a woman changes her hair?
She knows it's going down.
It's
all the things are changing.
Because you had like the big fro and I was into it.
Yep, everybody was into it. It was like a signature marker.
It was like you. And then you were like, what made you be like, were you scared?
A little. It took me like 6 months to convince myself that I was going to do it.
Yeah.
So in early 2018, I made the decision that I'm just going to do it.
Right.
And at first, I think I was scared all the way up until the moment of getting in the chair. And I remember going to my stylist and she's like, so what are we doing today? Like, are we just going to do like a little trim? And I'm like, we're cutting this. And she's like, what? What are we doing? And I was like, cut it off. Just go. And I was like, just hurry up before I change my mind, before I run out of here.
Right.
And I think she was more nervous than me.
When you got home, did you hate it? Were you like, oh my God, what did I do? I'm not Tiffany anymore.
No, I was more nervous that my daughter wouldn't recognize me. And she would be like, you're not my mom.
How old is she now?
She's 4.5.
Good grief. So how's that going?
Good.
You got out of the twos? Was she crazy around the twos?
Has she stopped? I don't know. Terrible twos, 3-nager, now 4-NATO. It's always something.
Jerry Seinfeld does this really great bit. He's like, kids are like little baby alligators, and you saved it and you put it in a bathtub, and it was like really, really cute. And you're like, look at this. But as it grows over time, you're like, we got to get this thing out of here.
Like, what is this? Yeah,
Why do we have this here?
Basically, she is growing beautiful. 4 going on 14 though, and I'm questioning like, oh Lord, what is teenagers gonna really be like?
I know. I'm frightened. My daughter's 11 and she's 10. I'm already aging her.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Like, listen.
She does things every day that just make me go, oh gosh, I'm in for it.
You're in for it.
So you've been doing a few things. You've kind of have an entrepreneurial spirit to you.
Yes, for sure.
And now you've been doing a lot of motivational speaking and stuff like that. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I started speaking in college. Actually, is like where it actually started.
You don't get super nervous?
Not really.
That's so. People are super freaking.
Yeah,
nervous.
it's like next to death. Like people are like more afraid of public speaking than they are like dying, which is crazy to me.
That's wild.
I get a little nervous every time before like it's official, like I'm about to go. They're gonna call my name to come out on stage, and I'm just like, who does this for a living? Oh yeah, me. I do this.
Right.
And then I love it. Like I eat it up.
So why did you get it? Why did you want to do this?
So in college, it sparked for me. I started an organization called Cause for Unity Coalition, and I was just looking to create conversations around social change with my peers. It was so cool. And I realized by doing these facilitations that I love to speak. And so,
how long ago was this? College?
I graduated in 2010.
Okay. That's a long time ago.
That's a decade.
Okay, what were the issues then in 2010 that you thought we needed to talk about and try to change?
The same ones that we are currently experiencing.
So we're doing a good job.
Yeah, basically. I just did a talk at FAU. I was their closing keynote for their iLead conference.
Look at you, hair flip.
Hey. But I got to tell the story of, creating this organization and being really passionate about these social issues. We were talking about sexism, and we're talking about environmental issues. I mean, all the things that we are still constantly going through now. Racism. And what's funny is that I was very hesitant even starting this organization because I'm like,
in 2010.
In 2000. Yeah. Well, I started in 2009, so it was exactly 10 years. Because I'm like, everyone's gonna be like, we're past this stuff. Like, we're past racism. Like, nobody is like talking about this.
When people say we're past racism, it just makes me want to push them off of a bridge. And it's funny, like things are inherently better. Like,
yes.
Inherently.
Yes.
Like I haven't gotten sprayed with a fire hose. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But my dad remembers people getting sprayed with a fire hose.
My dad got ran out of a coffee shop or a diner. Like those things are real.
From where? Where are your parents from?
My dad's from Virginia. My mom's from Louisiana.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Okay.
But he was in the Army, and so
situations,
all kinds of things.
Yeah, so it's definitely not there.
No, so we have gone
moved
a long way. We've come a long way. I mean, I think at that point, that was when Barack was running for office.
So it was a new wave of like, I can't believe.
Yeah, and he was really the one. Basically, I can't believe there's a black guy.
There's a black guy in the office.
He was the one that really inspired me to want to even have these kind of conversations, which is why I started the organization in the first place. And so, I mean, I remember doing this work and wondering like who was going to show up to have these kind of conversations with me. But so many people were actively engaged. When I say so many people, more so people of color were actively engaged. It was really hard to get white people to come.
Why is it hard to get white people to come?
I think, around like some of the issues they could come for, but when we like specifically talked about race, that was really difficult.
Why do white people want to jump out of a race conversation? They feel like they're in trouble?
Yes.
Like they feel like they've.
I mean, I think you think like at the end of the day, you're the one that's gonna be like attacked for
what this whole thing has done.
Right.
I feel like white people have it hard as well because it's like that wasn't your fault, but then those white people that are always just like, I can't believe this injustice to these African American people. You're like, all right, pimp down. You know what's going on.
Listen here.
It's tough for them both ways.
It definitely, and I've been having obviously a lot more of those conversations now. I mean, I couldn't have foreseen that 10 years ago that we would be in this weird alternate universe of right now in the last couple of years.
Do you feel like right now, like obviously we've changed since the Martin Luther King days and my dad and your dad getting ran out of places, getting sprayed with hoses. That's not happening anymore.
Right.
But from 2010 to 2019, do you feel like things have gotten worse now that we have Mr. Trump in office? Do you feel like things are better than they were in 2009 when you started this organization, or as far as racism goes, or
I feel
those
like
type of issues?
As far as race relations go, I don't know what it would look like if I was doing that organization right now on a college campus. Like how tense it would be.
When was Black Lives Matter? Do you guys remember when was that? Something like that. When was that?
12, 13,
because when Black Lives Matter happened, that's when I thought, oh, so it's still in there somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Because they hit you with that. Michael Che does that great bit, and he's like, that all lives matter. And it's just like, it's such a slick way to say fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a slick. It's not like, I understand. Because I think it's really weird at that time if you were running in a race for breast cancer awareness and someone would stop you and be like, actually, all cancer matters. Like, of course it does, dude. But we're at a breast cancer race right now, and that's what we're focused on.
It's so weird that people struggle like with that concept. Like when it comes, like you can apply it to almost anything, but not race.
It just feels like better. It feels, I don't know, when that was happening in 2013, I was like, oh, we're not out of the woods yet. This thing is turning. And then when Trump got elected, it was like, oh, all the yahoos came out of the woodwork, and that was that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's been, I feel like downhill ever since. So I couldn't have seen that this is what it was going to be. Like at that particular time, we were able to have some of these conversations. At times I were able to like pull in some white folks to come and talk, but it's still very uncomfortable, but still very civil, like in the discussion. And even at that point, like my mentality was, I remember doing a facilitation, and it was called Everyone's a Little Bit Racist, and it was based off of
pretty good name.
An Avenue Q song, which is where I got it from. But then if I were to go back to me now, I'm like, no, that's actually not true. Like, to host this, so it was almost giving people the out that we're all a little bit racist, but it was more like everyone's a little bit biased, and
I think sometimes people say things that they just don't know is racist, and it's tough too because certain people, they have no idea, like they can't be in your shoes. So it's very hard for people to understand even remotely how something could be racist because they just don't have their view. Because, people that are defending Trump from saying, I was like, go back to where you came from. People are like, well, how is that racist? He's just literally saying that they should maybe work where they are, I'm like, no, man, but that's the defense. So you hear stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember the first time someone told me to go back to Africa.
Right.
And I was hella confused.
Right, same.
Because I'm like,
didn't come from there.
I'm like,
I'm
definitely born in California. Parents born in Virginia and Louisiana, and my ancestors go back. So
yeah, but the basis of that is you don't belong in America.
Yeah, basically.
Is what is being said.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know, it's very hard to, for some people to put themselves in a black person's shoes, and I think that's always been difficult. Another thing that I think is different from 2010 maybe in your talks is what's happened with the Me Too movement and with so many people getting outed, or canceled.
Cancel culture.
How do you think that is different, and what do you think about that now? Because we've had Me Too was hot. It was hot. It was like it was like a new Kanye record, and now it's.
I mean, I don't think we can keep up with the amount of movements that are kind of coming up and sparked over the last couple of years. I mean, we have a lot of issues. Like at the end of the day, but I guess we've always had a lot of issues, but now we have social media and individuals being able to just come out and like blatantly say things and have the attention that they've never had before.
Yeah. It's
so
wild.
That's different.
Yeah. Social media, I honestly think, like, if you look at what social media is doing, I saw this great thing this weekend about Sasha Cohen, who was basically saying, what Facebook is doing, in my opinion, is just straight up evil if you're not fact-checking political ads. That would be, and he was saying, essentially like, if Facebook was around in the 1930s, then Hitler would be able to run ads, and Facebook would be like, yeah, no problem.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that, to me, is when it's not about freedom of speech anymore, because people should say what they want, but things are true, and then some things are not true.
Yes.
And
we are really blurring the lines of fake news. Like
we are.
It's kind of insane, and I feel like I'm having these conversations so much about what is like a moral conversation, like what are we talking, like what is right and what is wrong, and there are some things that are like right and wrong, and we are blurring like, well, it's kind of right if it's, and it's like, no, that's just really wrong. And why can't we say that's wrong?
I noticed that around Trayvon, when he died, people were like, well, I kind of see, and I'm like, we got away from the fact of one person is alive and one person is not, and that tells
everyone's trying to find the nuance,
but that tells you the story.
Yeah.
Like, this one unarmed person isn't alive anymore, and that's that. And so I find it very hard. I had a buddy of mine, in DC that got in a car accident. He had 3 people in the back seat, and 2 of them died in this car accident. It was awful. It was awful. He went to jail. It was a straight up accident, a car accident. He went to jail, and then you have this guy who's literally, standing his ground, and he's cool. He's at Starbucks today.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really started to change these things, especially. But I think that things have kind of shifted in the last 10 years.
It definitely
online.
It has. I mean, when I was doing the organization and we were just like, what is Twitter? Like, what are we supposed to do with Twitter? Or like we're just kind of posting some things on Facebook, but there wasn't
people on Twitter.
Yeah, but it wasn't a conversation, like really starting like this massive conversation, and it wasn't until like a few years later that I started doing social media for like a local company that I even started realizing the power of right, but like of just social media in general.
Period,
but we're talking about in 2010, social outlets like Facebook came about like 2005, 2006. So people were still trying to like understand, what are we supposed to do on here? Like, are we just supposed to be like, hey friend, or, and Facebook was only for colleges at some point, and then it like pivoted, and the last 10 years is crazy.
Why do you feel like some people are just completely disconnected from conversations like the one that we're having right now? Whether it be race, whether it be equality, whether it be politics. Why are some people just kind of like, oh, whatever, I'm just like trying to watch the next episode of whatever.
I don't do politics.
Yeah, you don't do politics?
No, I do, but people say like, I don't do politics.
Like, oh God, I don't do that. Like, or say like, I don't understand how people just kind of disconnect themselves and they're just like, kind of keep it surface level.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think part of it is a disillusionment, like around just like how everything operates. And I could say that I was very active, like in college, starting this, this organization around these things. And by like 2012, 2013, I was that person too, where I was like, what's the point?
What's the point? What's the point of voting?
So by the time like Obama was going to a second term, I was already like,
yeah.
What's the point?
Right.
And when I look back now, I think it's crazy that I got into this place of feeling like my voice didn't matter, feeling like nothing was going to really change if I were to talk about it or do something anyway.
Right.
And so I think if we take that lens and put it out on so many people, that's how most people feel. Like,
right.
It doesn't really matter what I do. It doesn't really matter what I say. It doesn't really matter if I even go out and vote. Like, they're going to pick who they're going to pick anyway. We put a lot of theys. We don't know who they are, but they are going to do what they are going to do.
Yeah,
and
the people in the room
where it happens.
But I always say that. People always say that, like, it doesn't matter. And I was like, if you really thought that there was people in the room deciding it, Obama would have never been in office.
For real. I mean, look at the backlash.
Yeah, like, he would have never been in office. If we're really looking at it like, oh, this guy, if our votes doesn't, the whole electoral system doesn't work, he wouldn't be in office.
Yeah. I mean,
the room would have never elected the black guy to be in office.
I think when we are able to really understand, and this is something that I talk about a lot, whether it's on stage or and most of the work that I do is helping people realize their power, like their personal power, and how we all have a ripple effect. And the question is whether or not our ripple effect is positive or negative.
What do you think is the biggest thing that or people do that takes their power away from themselves?
I think first and foremost is that they don't have any. So you give it up.
Right.
You like literally hand your power over to others who are so willing to take it and do something with it.
And that's that.
So just from an election standpoint, that is what we do. When we decide not to vote or not to show up and have a voice in who these people are, we're saying, you guys can decide.
Right.
And that is like the history of people deciding and of having bad choices, and then we're like, nothing ever changes. It's always the same.
Yeah,
it's always going to stay the same.
It's easy to complain.
And it's like,
really hard to do something.
Actually, if we look at just even 2018 and taking back the House, like these individuals like AOC. So I interview AOC on my podcast.
AOC's dope.
Yes. So she was one of the first people that I interviewed on my Modern Visionary podcast.
Ugh.
Before she was an acronym.
I'm so jealous.
Before she was like before she won. Before she was an acronym.
Dude, AOC is legit.
Yeah, but it's funny when I like look back at our conversation, because I was following her on Twitter, and I'm like, dude, this chick is fire. Like, she just like says whatever, and I'm like, I'm loving it. And I remember at that point in her campaign, she was still bartending.
Right.
And she was like, I'm trying not to bartend anymore. Like, can some people donate to my campaign? And I was like,
she's a bartender.
I know.
Love that.
I interviewed her, and I remember her being like, I'm just in this like literally for the people. Like, I am doing this because I want to see, is it possible to like really create this kind of change? And I'm like, I think you're gonna do it. Like, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but I'm like totally here for it. And she did it. Like 2 months later, she won the primary.
But she's doing it.
She's doing it.
AOC makes people nervous.
Oh, hell yeah.
AOC is like, she is changing
she's
stuff
rocking
on
shit.
both sides of the line.
But I think what's important there is, this is a woman that is internationally known now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
we're talking
for
about
sure.
like in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
Internationally known.
The youngest person in Congress.
New York district, I think it's 14. I don't know, it's 14 or 16. But she's like only representing her district.
Her little district, right?
However, like, she has made waves all
Everywhere.
across the world. And so if you don't think like you're voting your representative matters,
Boom.
like,
You just mic drop.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
your local representatives matter.
If you were, AOC's just a bartender that you knew.
Right.
And now every people in Ukraine know who AOC
Or like
is.
AOC.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit's crazy.
You're a bartender.
Yeah.
That's
so
nuts.
if you can't like wrap your mind around how everyday individuals have the power to enact change by deciding that they're going to be a part of it and not complain about it, like that's
the treat. They're deciding it. Like, oh, this is who I'm going to be now, and you're not too old to do that. Like, I'm not going to say, hey, I hate the blah 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 blah. You can actually say, oh, I'm going to make it my mission to do whatever it is. You got AOC in Congress. This whole impeachment inquiry thing that's happening right now wouldn't even happen if the Dems didn't have the House. So So the fact that Dems got elected in the House, that's changed, because if they didn't, this whole thing wouldn't even be happening.
It'd just be like so crooked. I mean, that's what blows my mind. So to kind of go back to that story of this moment in time by Obama's second election, I was like disillusioned. I didn't care.
Right.
Like it's whatever. I didn't,
Right.
I didn't even vote that year. So that's
Wow,
and
that
I'm
tells you
saying
something.
that because I now run a
real.
campaign called I Can't Wait to Vote because I had to realize that everything stacks on each other. And
Wow.
I didn't understand like how government actually worked.
Right.
So let's just go to 2016. So by the time Obama left office, Dems lost 1,000 seats.
Absolutely.
Because people got real comfortable that, oh, well, we have a black
just-
president.
we're
Everything is
good.
fine.
Everything's
And we're
good.
just going to keep going.
Yes.
Like, no.
And they were in the shadows building Donald
Yep.
Trump. Fox was building him up like a missile.
But even voting local elections, Congress
Correct.
people,
Right.
governorships, all of those mayorships, like all these people moving mountains in their local community so that by the time 2016 happened, boom, and everyone's like, how did this happen? It's been happening. It was
Right.
happening the whole time. We just didn't see it. And so then from 2016 to 2018 to flip the House, you're talking about in one election, in a midterm,
Yeah,
right? When
midterm.
most people don't even
People aren't voting.
think about
Right.
midterm elections,
Right.
how much power you have. So every 2 years, from at least a federal perspective, we have so much power to create change. So if we were to be like gung-ho, like we came through in 2018 to do it in 2020, in 2022,
Right,
in 2024, and do not let down, imagine what would happen. Imagine if when Obama was in office, we didn't take the foot off the gas.
Right.
And we showed up to every single election.
I mean, think about it. Gillum lost here in Florida by like
20,000, 26,000 votes or something. Yeah.
It's like CNI has 21,000 followers on Instagram.
You're right.
So
if all of those
You
people
just
definitely voted,
boom,
I mean,
then he's the
the
governor.
whole, I mean,
He's
Florida
the governor.
would have changed, like just like that.
I could talk to you for hours. Tell people where to find out about where can they follow you on Instagram?
Yeah,
Where can they
so
follow you
Live with
the
Tiffany is where you can learn
and get
everything.
live.
Get live. So livewithtiffany.com, Live with Tiffany on Instagram, Twitter, on all
and
the
you're still
things.
doing the company that you started 10 years ago. Is that still running?
No, Cause for Unity kind of faded out with college.
Yep.
But I went on to do a Modern Visionary. I now have a company called The Morning Shift Co.
And you have in Morning Shift Co. And then you have the podcast now.
A Modern Visionary.
Hey.
Yep.
Thank you so much for coming through. You were awesome.
Thanks.
Everyone get at Tiffany. She is one of my favorite folks and super smart and always a really great activist for change. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.